In the ancient world of myth and legend, where gods walked among mortals and heroes forged their destinies in the fires of battle, there lived a warrior of unparalleled skill and a past drenched in darkness. Her name was Xena, and she was the scourge of the land, a merciless warlord who knew only the thrill of conquest and the taste of blood. Her formidable army, a diverse legion of mercenaries and brigands, followed her without question, their loyalty secured by fear and the promise of plunder. But even in the heart of this ruthless warrior, a flicker of something new began to stir. One day, as Xena's forces swept through the countryside, their path brought them to a small, unassuming village. The people, trembling with fear, offered no resistance. They laid their meager possessions at the feet of the conquering army, a desperate attempt to appease the monster who had come to their land. It was here, in this quiet village, that Xena's path intersected with that of a woman named Gabrielle. Unlike the others, Gabrielle was not a warrior. She was a young storyteller, her spirit unburdened by the weight of violence. She watched with a mixture of terror and fascination as Xena's men ransacked her home, her eyes wide with a quiet courage that stood in stark contrast to the brutality around her. As the raid concluded, Xena, her gaze sharp and calculating, observed the young woman. There was a vulnerability in Gabrielle's stance, a complete lack of pretense, yet a defiance that Xena had never encountered before. It was a peculiar sight, this juxtaposition of innocence and strength. Intrigued, Xena made a decision that would forever alter the course of her life. She took Gabrielle with her, not as a prisoner, but as a companion. The reasons for this choice were a mystery, even to Xena herself. Perhaps it was a fleeting curiosity, or a subconscious yearning for something she had lost long ago. As their journey continued, the unlikely pair traveled through sun-drenched forests and across vast, windswept plains. Xena, with her imposing presence and armor-clad form, was a stark contrast to Gabrielle, who moved with a light grace, her mind more focused on the rhythm of a story than the clatter of a sword. Their days were filled with a strange silence, a wordless communication built on observation and shared experience. Gabrielle watched as Xena expertly handled her chakram, the lethal disc of metal a part of her own being. She saw the unwavering resolve in Xena's eyes as she faced down bandits and beasts, her movements a deadly dance of precision and power. During their travels, they found themselves in the kingdom of the legendary King Lysis, a man known for his benevolence and wisdom. But the kingdom was in turmoil. A great evil, a fearsome monster known as the Gorgon, had taken over the royal palace, trapping the king and his daughter, Princess Samini, within its stone walls. The Gorgon's presence had turned the once thriving kingdom into a desolate wasteland, its people living in fear, their hopes slowly turning to dust. The moment Xena heard of the Gorgon, a grim determination settled over her. This was the kind of challenge that had always fueled her, a chance to test her mettle against a truly formidable foe. Yet, as she prepared for the confrontation, something was different. She wasn't driven by the lust for power or the promise of glory. Instead, she was moved by the sight of the suffering people, their faces etched with despair. This was a new and unsettling feeling, a strange empathy that resonated in the hollows of her once hardened heart. Gabrielle, ever the perceptive storyteller, saw this change in Xena. She saw the subtle shift in the warrior's gaze, the way her shoulders seemed to carry a different kind of burden. She understood that this was more than just a battle. It was a chance for redemption. As Xena set out to face the Gorgon, Gabrielle stayed behind, but her spirit was with the warrior, her unspoken support a beacon in the darkness. Xena entered the royal palace, its once grand halls now eerie and silent, the air heavy with a petrifying chill. She moved with a silent grace, her senses heightened, every muscle in her body poised for action. She found the Gorgon in the throne room, its hideous form a grotesque tapestry of scales and venom. The creature's eyes, like pools of liquid malice, promised a swift and brutal end to anyone who dared to look upon them. The Gorgon was not just a beast of flesh and bone. It was a creature born of pure malevolence, its very presence a threat to the land. The battle that followed was a clash of titans. Xena, with her immense strength and unparalleled skill, fought with a ferocity that was breathtaking to behold. She dodged the Gorgon's deadly gaze, her movements a blur of calculated chaos. The sound of her sword, Ares, clashing against the monster's scales, echoed through the palace. But the Gorgon was a formidable foe, its strength matched by its cunning. It was a test of not just physical might, but of wit and willpower. Xena's armor, once pristine, now bore the marks of the struggle, and a deep sense of weariness began to settle in her bones. Yet she did not falter. As she fought, her mind drifted to the face of Gabrielle, to the innocent courage in her eyes. It was a memory that fueled her, a reminder of the newfound purpose that had begun to blossom within her. She was no longer fighting for power or conquest. She was fighting for something more, for the chance to protect the innocent, for the hope of a better future. In a final, desperate move, Xena used her chakram, her most trusted weapon, in a way she never had before. She threw it, not at the Gorgon itself, but at a mirrored shield that stood nearby. The spinning blade struck the shield, its polished surface reflecting the Gorgon's grotesque form. The monster, caught off guard, looked upon its own reflection, and in an instant, its stone gaze turned inward. The Gorgon, a creature of myth and fear, became a petrified statue, a testament to the power of courage and cunning. As the Gorgon crumbled to dust, a great cheer erupted from the villagers who had been watching from afar. The magical enchantment that had held the king and princess captive was broken, and they emerged from the palace, their faces filled with relief and gratitude. King Lysis, in a gesture of profound respect, offered Xena a place of honor in his kingdom. He offered her riches and power, a life of comfort and praise. But Xena, her eyes now clear and her heart no longer burdened by the darkness of her past, politely declined. She had found something more valuable than gold or glory. She had found a new purpose, a new path, and a new companion. As she turned to leave, she saw Gabrielle waiting for her, a warm smile on her face, her eyes filled with a quiet understanding. And so, as the sun set over the ancient kingdom, casting a golden light over the land, Xena and Gabrielle began their journey anew. They walked side by side, a warrior and a storyteller, their paths now intertwined forever. Xena, the former warlord, was now a protector of the innocent, her strength no longer used for conquest, but for justice. And in the heart of this formidable warrior, a new kind of legend began to take shape, a story not of a conqueror, but of a hero. The warrior princess had found her true calling, a path forged by a chance encounter and a flicker of hope that had turned into an unshakable light.